Facebook. I want you to show listeners and viewers what they should expect during Adum Praise.
Your propaganda has been noted.
Oh, everything I say, you say it is propaganda, man.
But this is propaganda.
I'm just representing the curious listener and viewer.
I was just wondering how Samuel Adame would have been dancing to the song.
You were not imagining anything.
How did you judge that to be an attempt on my part to dance?
You were not imagining anything.
And by the way, why do you think I am incapable of dancing?
I haven't said you are
putting
incapable.
myself and Raymond in the same category.
Have you noticed how Raymond?
To your matter,
you see, in his response, he has brought in Samuel Adame. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh,
I'm changing the song. It's okay.
Yes. Anyway.
Right, so let's do the front pages, and Raymond, you start with the BNFT.
Yes, it's reporting this morning, power sector still remains major risk to economic progress. That's according to the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ASEP. And banks collapse, a big warning to local businesses. This is the head of the economics department at the University of Ghana. Said they must run on strong structures. There's a story about traffickers, 2 busted for drug trafficking at Avian's cargo village, and Tullow Oil is keen on new discoveries. Those are the stories that the BNFT is presenting.
I have the Gold Street business. Government ready to lift ban on small-scale mining. Petroleum funds portfolio set to make positive returns, and cylinder recirculation policy not to be banned. Will not be banned. That's the National Petroleum Authority insisting.
Now, the Ghanaian Times is reporting this morning, GFA committee dissolved as FIFA sets up nominalization committee. And also on the front page of the paper, the Greater Accra Regional Minister and 2 others have been dragged before court over Gamanche. And the conversation whether or not we are going to lift Galamsey is also on the front page. But Kandahar Youth Group leader Baba Al-Assad arrested, and that's what the Ghanaian Times is reporting this morning.
I have the Ghanaian Observer. Mahama Yarga in trouble as Yoko pounces on MP's 3 controversial Lance Cruisers. NDC youth on rampage, chase health minister with stones over Mahama Polyclinic. Bawumia comments armed forces college, and government goes high-tech to fight Galamsey.
Now, the Finder is reporting this morning that free SHS include private schools. This is according to Otufor Seitutu II, and also J.H. Mensah, a genealogy of greatness. Thus, eulogy to the great man. Also on the front page of the paper is government to support Ghana Military Academy, and Agric is key to unlocking Ghana's fortunes. You know who is saying this? Who? The Chamber for Bulk Oil Distribution.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Senyo Hosi.
Agric Neo Bulk Oil.
You don't see the correlation.
No, I'm saying that he's diverse.
He's a man of many parts.
Yes, I mean, he's a very competent, diverse teacher person.
Yeah.
I tell you, he has competence in even comedy.
Oh,
the Chronicle newspaper has the J.H. Mensah story as well. J.H. Mensah joins Emisa Atta at Bema Camp. Ghana bows to FIFA. FIFA mafia reneges on dissolution of Ghana Football Association.
The Daily Guide is reporting on Mahama Yariga. It says Yoko is seizing his cars and BOG to prosecute dirty bank officials. And there are pictures of some bank leaders on the front page, but Tamale Teaching Hospital gang leader grabbed, and it's also on the front page of the Daily Guide.
The New Crusading Guide newspaper has virtually all the stories we have done about FIFA, government backing down on its attempts to dissolve the Association of Ghana Football, Hajj board over 400 pilgrims and plane to Saudi Arabia, and top lawyer reveals how IES is killing government agenda.
Now, the Daily Statesman is reporting this morning, growing Chinese presence in Ghana. Is there any threat? Actually, there's a growing Chinese presence on the entire continent, major presence anyway. And Unibank is in 3.7 billion Ghana cedi fraud, chops customer deposits by 2.3 billion, and NDC needs rebranding to overcome corruption tag. Spielgabra is the one offering the advice on the front page of the Daily Statesman.
The Herald newspaper, Atufosin rescues health minister from angry youth. MPP NDC MPs crack 8 billion joke with taxpayers. Plan 3-day secret probe into collapsed bank despite huge public interest. And government hijacks new military cemetery for J.H. Mensah. FIFA throws out Esiama and others. Football ban still looms. Done? I still have the Daily Graphic. Let me do it. The Daily Graphic has virtually the same stories about FIFA and lifting the ban on illegal mining soon. I think this should have been small-scale mining, not illegal mining. Only 1 out of 2,000 lifts in Accra certified.
So we shouldn't use them.
Let's take this
Professor
test. Let's
Alex.
take this test.
This is Professor
We
Alex.
should excise more.
Yes.
Yeah.
You should get them fixed. Oh.
Back
Well,
page of the let me
it's our
back page of the
certified.
Daily Graphic newspaper. Tension mounts at Agbogloshi over intended demolition exercise there. These are the stories.
Right, thank you, Malik and Raymond. Raymond, let's start with you with the Unibank story, shall we?
So yesterday we brought you some revelation that the statesman actually have been doing on Unibank, and today it started with some 3.7 billion it considers to be fraudulent in the dealings of the bank. This is because the report of KPMG says that the 3.7 billion of customers' deposits was paid to shareholders of the bank under what, in quote, unusual credit terms. According to KPMG, 1.13 billion of the said amount advanced to the shareholders was originally recorded under other assets and later transferred to loans and advances under unusual circumstances. The report concludes in all of this by saying that the renowned accounting firm in its main final point considers a forensic investigation into the transaction against the suspicion of potential misappropriation of assets and fraud, and that's the final call they are making. But there's some more detail that, if you have time, Daniel, let me roll into it. Now, it says that as of May 31, 2018, there were customer deposits of the collapsed bank amounted to 4.05 billion Ghana cedis, with time deposit constituting 55.6% of the amount. Of course, this amount we say was kept at an annual rate of 31.5%, but the report of the KPMG audit indicates that the customer deposits reported to the Bank of Ghana by the officials was understated by 2.3 billion instead of the 4.05 billion. It was understated to 2.3 billion, thus misleading the country's central bank that has the mandate to regulate the sector in a much more effective way. There's also another concern. Now, the KPMG report also states that the bank misrepresented its financial position as at 31st December 2017 to the Banking Supervision Department, and indicated clearly that the amount of money it had, which is advances and loans, were overstated by 1.3 billion. The approximately 3.8 billion were the amounts that actually got overstated in this particular case. The complaint also is that now some amount of 2.3 billion, which were in the case of assets, were also overstated. So there was an understatement when it comes to loans and an overstatement when it comes to assets, to create the impression that the bank was doing well at the time, when in reality it was in a very, very deep problem. And yesterday I did tell you about some complaints which is coming from the report, which said that Dr. Kwabena Dufo Jr., the CEO of the bank, unilaterally granted loans without thinking about what the implications will be for the depositor and the deposits of the bank in this case. So 60% of all the, and you see, they sample, they don't take all the loans, they sample the loans, or the sample that they took, 60%, and this is 127 financial transactions. 60% of all of them did not have any approval evidence. Now,
From the board.
So
Yeah,
one
not
curious
only from the
point,
bulk,
yeah, none at all. It was
Not
just
at
the
all.
CEO giving them out.
yes,
One curious point that comes out with this whole banking brouhaha is what goes on into granting loans. And when we go into the Royal Bank documents, that's the audit into Royal Bank, you would also find that a number of loans were given out. There was no letter. Sometimes they didn't check the person's risk profile. Sometimes they did not go to the board for approval. Sometimes the CEO, like in this case, just vetoed the loans. And so going forward, it is something that the Bank of Ghana must insist on, particularly that the boards of all these banks take special attention to. But Raymond, the BOG has been talking tough about the persons involved.
yes, the BOG is saying that, and of course, we all know that some 2 days ago it issued a statement. Now, the Daily Guide has the detailed statement. The crux of the statement is that we've heard the concerns of Ghanaians about prosecuting those involved. We are doing our very best. Indeed, we will make sure that every single individual involved whose inactions specifically led to the collapse of any of these banks will be dealt with. Not only are these officials, according to the Daily Guide, there's also a part that says it will not shield officials of the BOG at the time who were involved in the practice or who contributed in any way to the collapse of these banks. And this is Bank of Ghana officials, be it at the banking supervision division or whichever department that was directly in charge of making sure the right thing was done. They are going to make sure all of them are hauled before the right state institutions. Already they say that Yoko's report is starting from Capital Bank and UT Bank, and other things will follow in that direction.
I think one way that the BOG can help us have confidence in them is to let us know who these individuals are ahead of time, so that we don't hear that maybe 3 people have been called and we don't know if the Yoko report had 8 other people or 10 other people
or
who have not been
100 and
exactly. So it will be good for us to know the exact details, which is why we are calling for those parliamentary polls to be public, so that the people named, we would know and we can follow, because this is a matter of public confidence. I am not happy that Dr. Indum, for instance, was saying in the Joy Business Report this morning that people are withdrawing from local banks. We need to know that the regulators are doing what they can. I was having a conversation with an auditor yesterday, and really there were a lot of questions as to how BOG itself supervises the banks. Even now with their new systems, that must be raised, and so BOG must be seen to be doing everything to restore confidence, and I think that it will start from letting us know.
And that everything includes officials of the BOG itself who either failed or were compromised, which led to where we are, being punished.
The first question is, who are those officials? We should know.
Absolutely.
And are they, what is going to be done? For instance, who are these 10 people who have been transferred? Why were they? We remember when Nano Champo mentioned it, that 10 people have been transferred.
Sorry.
Who were they why were they transferred? On what basis? What else is going to be done? Those are important questions that must be answered.
We know money is a passionate issue. Let's deal with football. Another passionate issue.
Very, very passionate issue.
So yesterday, there was this meeting between a government delegation from Ghana and then FIFA, led by its president, Gianni Infantino, in Zurich yesterday, to deal with all the problems that came about as a result of ANAS's investigation into the operations of the Ghana Football Association and some persons thereof. In the end, Ghana submitted to the will of FIFA. Raymond was tempting me to say FIFA. So in the end, we have agreed that first of all, the processes that government initiated that would have led to the winding down of the Ghana Football Association will cease. This is what is happening in court, because we know that government went to court and filed processes to try and use the legal means to dissolve the Ghana Football Association as a corporate entity. I remember that there were some lawyers who said that that action itself undertaken by government was ill-advised and was not proper. Government insisted that it was right. Well, now FIFA says it has agreed with the government to, of course, set up some organizations, establish a joint task force, that's what they call it, a joint task force to create proper disciplinary governance and auditing mechanisms, as well as ensure that persons who are found culpable are punished in accordance with Ghanaian domestic law. But until all of that is done, government must stop the processes it is initiating currently to dissolve the Ghana Football Association.
All right.
The government agreed, and they took pictures with Gianni Infantino with smiles.
Okay, which means they are chummy again. We are not going to be banned.
Oh no, we won't be banned.
Okay.
But of course, once government has agreed to the terms laid down by FIFA, there won't be any ban.
It will be interesting to see who the members of these. They are dissolving the executive committee now, and
GFA.
they are going to not GFA as a body,
a corporate body. No.
It will be interesting to see what's coming next. Who are going to be the committee members there? Yeah. Which persons are they? I think that's the next major thing to look out for. But from money to...
Sorry, let me be clear. Government is going to withdraw the case from court, right?
Yes. Why?
I'm just wondering about how legal
fees. Government was...
Raymond.
How legal...
Because
the legal fees,
we told them
started.
That this one...
Anyway, Raymond, let's move to education. Another very passionate subject.
Yes, and you know that in less than 3 weeks from now, the first... Form 2s and Form 3s in the senior high schools in the country will be going back to school. The first batch, the green batch in the double track, will also be going to school.
The green track?
Yes, the green track will be going to school as part of the double track. What we know for a fact is that government says all is set. Next week, all the teachers will be available. The over 8,000 that's supposed to be made available. Now, Otufor is reiterating the concerns of the private schools about involvement and the extent of involvement. he believes that they are put up infrastructure and facilities, and they are at huge cost, and these entrepreneurs ought to be supported to participate in the exercise in a much more meaningful way. In fact, he believes that without doing that, you are killing a section of our society who would have preferred to either be in private schools, and we know that they are fee paying in some way. So help them and make sure that you involve them in all the ways. But you do recall that the ministry came out with over 400 schools out of the 696 that are going to. There are 696 schools as the senior high schools in the country. 400 or so is the number that's supposed to be part of this double track. These schools are the Class A and other predominant schools. So the schools that mostly have huge numbers going to them, those are the ones going to do the double track. So your 24 is saying include also the private schools, especially in the main cities, who will also have to take up the huge numbers in this case, so that it can keep down the pressure on the existing facilities, so that the systems can go on properly. He said it at the 56th annual conference of the heads of assisted senior high schools. They are doing it in Kumasi currently.
Jobs.
The agreement is that they are supposed to...
Is this CHAS or CHAPS?
CHAS.
This is
In fact, they
CHAS.
call,
There's one for private school, which is CHAPS.
in fact, they say, well,
this is Conference of Heads of Assisted.
for the public,
Yeah.
not
So
the
that's the
private
CHAS
schools.
one.
Private schools is jobs,
Yeah, you have a private mind, I understand.
we heard them at the dialogue, which was organized 2 days ago.
Yes.
Where
Speaking
they
very
themselves said that
passionately
they have about
about this.
250 schools. In fact, at that dialogue, the guy said that some of the schools had been taken over, but they were taken over because they do not have students attending those schools.
Okay.
So they virtually are on the verge of collapse, like the banks. So the government took them over. And he said that out of the 250 schools that they have, if the government placed 500 students in each school, and the government would have assessed all of the schools, look at their capacity and competence and the facilities they have. If you place 500 students in each school and you are dealing with about 180,000 students, then you should be able to cater for all of that. But let's deal with another important issue, shall we, which has to do with the ban on illegal mining. This is actually a ban on small-scale mining. This is what the Minister for Environment, Science and Innovation unveiled yesterday. He unveiled a roadmap to governments dealing with this illegal or small-scale mining. What he said was that one of the essential things they would do is to ask all excavators to assemble at certain locations so that government will put tracking devices on them and be able to track them and see what activity they are engaged in and in which area and in what manner. That it is absolutely important to do this because government wants to be able to determine whether these companies, these small scale companies, and these are 1,350 of them, artisanal mining companies, all of them will have their equipment tracked. Again, all of them will be vetted because government wants to be sure that all of these companies which have been registered and licensed to operate small-scale mining industry are playing their roles in a manner which is not a danger to the environment. So that's what the minister unveiled yesterday.
Thanks, Malik. Raymond, you read this disturbing headline on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. This pilgrim at Atwea?
Yes, a gentleman, 25-year-old, who joined others to go and pray at the Atwea Mountains. Actually, he jumped to his death. In fact, it was later concluded that he had high fever. The family was saying so, and that part of the reasons why he went there is also to pray that he may be healed. You know that we still have a huge number of people with one mental illness or so. Last year, Dr. Akwasi Osei put around 4 million of our almost 30 million population have one mental illness or so. There's a huge treatment gap, 98%, which means that only 2% of people get full treatment. And our budgets have reflected very low concentration on putting the monies into the mental health institutions. Indeed, when we even budget for them, as we did in 2017, they got, as of October, less than 30% of the amount of money they were supposed to get in this case. So we lost a very important life. Let's not forget, the grouping, he's 25, he's within the grouping that's mostly highest on the list of people who get mental diseases in this country.
That's sad. That's sad. May his soul rest in peace. Let's go online now. And the online news review is brought to you by Zenith Bank. In your best interest, Goyle, good energy. Download the Safe Doctor app now from Google Play. Safe Doctor, the future of better medical care. Now, the Skills Development Fund invites all micro, small and medium enterprises across the country to apply for grant support to improve the capacity of their workforce for enhanced productivity and competitiveness. Public and private training training institutions are also invited to apply for support to develop innovative training content for the private sector. The application window is open till 31st August 2018. Enterprises in agribusiness and renewable energy sectors and those owned or managed by women are especially encouraged to apply. To apply, visit www.sdfghana.org. Skills Development Fund, Skilling Ghana for Sustainable Development. Now, you've got great love for your vehicle. You want the engine to last longer and to perform to its maximum. It's okay. GOIL has the new super synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubricants for you. These specially engineered superior engine oils work efficiently on all modern petrol and diesel engines. They clean, protect, reduce fuel consumption, prolong oil change intervals, and enhance engine performance from startup till you switch off. Go to any GOIL filling station and grab the new GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes. Engineering innovation for your vehicle has arrived. GOIL, good energy. Now is the time to own a Zenith MasterCard. Apply for a Zenith MasterCard debit or prepaid card from any Zenith Bank branch nationwide and enjoy two great things: no issuance fee and a chance to receive a gift of a prepaid card with a preloaded amount of the CD equivalent of $50. Isn't this exciting? Don't be left out. Sign up for your Zenith MasterCard debit or prepaid card today. Offer is available to account and non-account holders. Terms and conditions apply. Zenith Bank, in your best interest. MyJoyOnline.com has that story from Prince Kofi Amoah. 5 million cedis was proceeds from property sale and not loan. Interesting one. You know, Prince Kofi Amoah was responding to what was stated in the Borders report. But it is important to note that the Borders report acknowledged this claim, that he said he sold the property to Mr. Kofi Jobs and then said that this claim must be investigated.
Yes.
So they acknowledged it and they recommended investigation.
I doubt if he had read the report, because he said that people did not state in there that that's what his response, even though he met them. But it was in the report.
He was.
Yeah. Now, it also has a video called Breakout of Confines, Conquer the World. Otabil charges Africans. Pastor Mensa Otabil speaking at Festival of Ideas last night. Insightful program. I was there myself. Now, the MPs are criticizing Parliament's in-camera probe for directors of failed banks. Some members of Parliament have criticized the decision by the Finance Committee to query directors of the collapsed indigenous banks in camera. The committee has said it will spend 3 days from September 6 to 7 to probe the issue. But even before it starts, there are fears a public probe could further dampen public confidence in the banking sector because there could be more damning revelations of wrongdoing. But parliamentarians say an open probe is the way to go. And there was a rousing call for an open probe yesterday on the show. Yes. When we put this issue up for discussion. I must say,
if they want to open this, we just stop it. You see, it's not compulsory. They have to probe it.
So if you won't open it to the public, yeah. So, and that was Dr. Kojo Asante or the CDD speaking there. Okay. I believe the hashtag yesterday was hashtag let us see. Yes. But the BBC says Bobby Wine, Uganda's Afrobeats MP, standing up to Museveni. You guys, you want to read, I'm sure you guys have read it already. Yeah. This Ugandan Afrobeats musician who is standing for MP and is standing up to Yoweri Museveni himself.
Yes, he may not be able to contest the election. That's the only problem.
You
just disqualify him.
So it's something that we're keeping our eyes
Uganda,
on.
not Ghana.
All right then. We'll take these important messages and then it's time for the BBC News at 7. Stay with us. This is the Super Morning Show.
This was Kwame's life before Interplast In Green Irrigation System.